Today I'm going to tell you two stories. One that takes place during the Roaring '20s, the other takes place during World War II. And both are amazing stories on their own, but they are 100% true. But before we get into that, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your host, Mr. Biggs, coming to you from the great state of Michigan, utilizing the Aurora Borealis to amplify my voice through your speakers to all four corners of the world. I'm here to bring you true, scary, mysterious, and sometimes the most outrageous stories ever heard on the World Wide Web. Let's get into it. In the 1920s, Prohibition had some unexpected consequences. Prohibition was the outlaw of the distribution or sale of alcohol from 1920 until it was repealed in 1933. But this saw the rise of the likes of Bugsy Siegel, Lucky Luciano, and one of the most notorious and violent crime bosses, Al Capone. And it didn't matter how much trouble Al Capone got into or his crew, they always managed to get off of it. They got off of it because of one of Al Capone's friends, who was a lawyer that was called Easy Eddie. Now, Capone called him Easy because of the way that the man operated in a courtroom. He was so smooth, and it absolutely helped that he had judges in his back pocket. He had police sergeants in his back pocket. He had entire departments in his back pocket. And when he operated in a courtroom, the jurors knew you're not going to cross Easy Eddie. But his best skill set wasn't how good he was as a lawyer. It was his ability to bribe, intimidate, and persuade and threaten everyone around him. To give you an idea of how good Easy Eddie was, one afternoon, Al Capone got out of his car, walked to the trunk, grabbed a baseball bat, proceeded to walk into a restaurant and club a man to death in front of 100 customers. Nobody saw anything. This is how good and powerful Easy Eddie was. And Capone absolutely loved Easy Eddie. He loved him so much, he gave him everything. More money than he could ever want. The best cars, brand new Cadillacs every year. The highest quality wristwatch. He even gave him a mansion that was gated, that took up an entire Chicago city block. But Eddie had a problem. He had a growing problem. And that was his son. His son was getting at that age that he started asking, "Dad, what do you do for work, Daddy? Daddy, can I come to work with you today?" And started saying things like, "When I grow up, I want to work with my dad." And this absolutely bothered Easy Eddie to the point that he couldn't take it no more, because he wanted to pass on a name that his son could be proud of. And then one day he decided, this is it. And he went to the feds. Easy Eddie would end up being the key witness in the tax evasion trial that would send Al Capone and his goons to prison, to Alcatraz. And Eddie knew this came with a price. It was a death sentence. And what Eddie predicted would come would. One afternoon, as he's driving down a quiet Chicago street, a sedan pulls up next to him, the windows down. Two shotguns come sticking out of the window, loaded with slugs, and they open fire on Eddie, killing him instantly. And as he crashes into the telephone pole, investigators would come. No one was ever charged because they didn't see anything. They found a few possessions on his person. One would be a rosary, a crucifix, and a poem that he had clipped out of a magazine. And that poem was titled The Clock of Life. The clock of life is wound but once, and no man has the power to tell just when the hands will stop. At late or early hour, to lose one's health is sad indeed. To lose one's health is more. To lose one's soul is such a loss that no man can restore. The present only is our own, so live, love, toil with a will. Place no faith in tomorrow, for the clock may then be still. Now, my next story takes place in World War II. February 20th, 1942, to be exact. And a flight of F-4F Wildcats takes off from the USS Lexington, located in the South Pacific, because radar had picked up a group of Japanese bombers nicknamed from the Allies, Betties, 35 miles out, coming in to bomb them. And as this flight takes off, Lieutenant Butch, a few miles in, looks down at his fuel gauge and realizes they never topped him off. He is not going to be able to make the trip. So, maintaining radio silence, he signals to the squadron leader he has to turn back. And as he turns back and is flying towards Lexington, he notices a break in the clouds and he looks down, and to his surprise, he sees 9 Betties flying in a V formation heading towards the Lexington. And as he takes a drag off his cigarette, butts it out, he knows what he has to do. And he instantly dive bombs right towards that V formation of Betties and opens fire on one of them, hitting it in the fuel tank with such an explosion. The Japanese literally thought they were hit with a bomb. And as he comes down, he turns and he comes back up and he hides in the clouds again. Comes back down, opens fire, and shoots a second Betty. And she goes crashing into the ocean as well. And as they're turning their guns, they're trying to hit him. He's back up into the clouds. As he comes back down, he opens fire on a third, hits her. She goes down too. And as he darts up into the clouds and quick comes back down, he hears the sound that no pilot ever wants to hear. And that's nothing. He was out of ammunition. Now, what happened is well documented. These F-4F Wildcats had cameras mounted into the wings because they used them on reconnaissance flights. There's video. And there's also hundreds of sailors that were on the deck of the USS Lexington watching nervously as these bombers were coming towards them. He had no more ammunition left. He decides he is going to take his wings and clip the tail sections off of these Japanese bombers. And that's exactly what he did. He would fly at them and clip and send another one tumbling down to the ground. And as he hits the 5th one and sends that one into the ocean as well, these bombers are scrambling. They're trying to shoot him down because they're thinking this guy is nuts. There was a problem. They were running low on fuel fighting him. They weren't going to be able to make it to the Lexington. So they dropped their payload, they dropped their bombs into the ocean. Not one of them come close to the Lexington, and they turned back. Now, as he's coming back to the Lexington opens fire on him. There's this nervous soldier on a machine gun. Thank God He was a terrible shot and never hit anything. And as Lieutenant Butch comes in, lands on the Lexington, he calmly gets out, pulls out his smokes, puts one in, and he walks up to this sailor and says, "Son, you ever shoot at me again when my wheels are down, I'll report you to the gunnery officer." For his actions that day, he was promoted to lieutenant commander. He would also receive the Medal of Honor and receive the U.S. Navy's first Flying Ace Award of World War II. Now, the Flying Ace Award is downing 5 enemy aircraft. Sadly, about a year later, Lieutenant Commander Butch would be shot down on a night mission in the South Pacific. His body or plane was never recovered. Now, a couple of years later, there was a small airport in Chicago named Orchard Fields Airport. And they were going through some major renovations. They weren't doing commercial flights just at the time, but they wanted to honor this pilot by naming it after him. And that pilot's name was Lieutenant Commander Butch O'Hare. And today, O'Hare International Airport is one of the busiest airports in the world. And if you're ever there, at Terminal 2, there is a replica of this F4F Wildcat on display, along with replicas of his many medals. I am certain he grew up to be the man his father would have been proud of. His father was Easy Eddie O'Hare. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the stories as much as I did telling them. Until next time.